Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everybody's doing well. I think this is going to be one of the most important discussions and topics that you've probably heard this week, this month. There's so many important things that need to be discussed today that I appreciate you being here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with the niceties and say hi to everybody. Hope everybody's doing really well. Thank you for coming in. First off, Siren, as always, thank you for modding for me. I appreciate you, my friend. YouTube me is in the house. Thank you, brother. Hey, I'm sending off some stuff for you. You should be getting it in the mail shortly. Steve Lapointe is in the house. I appreciate you. Steve just gave us an update on Jack Gallman. So if you know who he is, he's in Marion, North Carolina. They have no power. They're not expecting power to be restored for 7 to 10 days. Um, this actually ties in very well with what we're going to be talking about today. It's a little bit different, but same basic premise. So thank you for that, Steve. That you this whole thing plays extremely into what's being talked about today. So thank you for being a channel member. I greatly appreciate you, brother. Jackalope is in the house. Hope you're doing well, Jackalope. We got Check Stacker who's excited to hear about this topic. David G is in the house. Dog World and you. Hello, sweetie. I hope you're well. Um, just got to talk to her very, very briefly this morning. She was talking to Tiger. They were checking on everybody. It was really great to hear them talk and to hear that. Ringmaster Ray's in the house. What's going on? Hope you're doing well. Herman Ortiz is here and David G. Good morning. Hope you guys are here to have fun and to learn. And on the telephone, I have our buddy, Tiger Stacker. Hey, Tiger, what's going on, bud?
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Thanks for doing this. I know that you've had a week of hell, to say least.
Oh, I thought I was on vacation.
Yeah, yeah, smart aleck. Um, so we're gonna do this. First off, hey, good morning, Steve. Looking for silver. How are you doing, bud? Good to see you.
Hi,
Um,
Steve.
so we're going to kind of talk about first thing of first. I'm going to go ahead and Tiger. Why don't you give everybody just a okay? Let me clarify this brief synopsis of kind of what
Uh,
happened, what's going on, what your status is, so that people get a good update from you directly. Why don't you go ahead and fire away?
Translation, he doesn't want me to bring up my book of War and Peace. Anyway, as you all know, I'm an ER doctor, and I'm not a young person. I'm 61 years old. For years, I've had valvular insufficiency in my legs long before I ever became a diabetic.
Okay, so
And I
let's remember that we're talking to standard people. So let's use less doctor's terms and more layman's terms. So what does
okay,
that mean?
okay, I'll bring out the medical dictionary. But basically, okay, in your valves, in your veins, you have one-way valves, and as the blood goes up, the valves close to prevent gravity from pulling them back down. When you have valvular insufficiency, the valves are insufficient; they don't work as well. So you have the risk of the blood coming back down the veins, increasing the pressure in the veins because there's more of it, then seeping out of the veins into the tissue around it. We call that third spacing, which causes your legs to swell. And as your legs swell, your skin swells. And as your skin swells, the hair follicles, the openings for the hairs, tends to get a little bigger, which gives a bacteria an opportunity to plop down it kind of like a golf ball does on the green. If that happens, that bacteria can then fester and make more of itself, usually starting with a folliculitis or inflammation of the hair follicle, then proceeds to either a cellulitis, which is usually what the case is, sometimes an abscess, which I'm grateful I've never had. And I've had these loads of times because of the valvular insufficiency. When you have diabetes, it increases your risk because the bacteria has more sugar in order to make more of itself. I haven't really noticed any increase in my cellulitis frequency because of diabetes, but I do a bunch of different things at home. I have I have five sets of antibiotics. Rocephin, which is an injection, which is what I start off with. Then Bactrim, which is oral medicine, clindamycin, and oral medicine in combination, can kill almost everything. Linzolid, which is my backup medicine when the other medicines aren't working. And you always run the risk of causing yourself C. difficile, which is a bacteria that lives in your gut. So when you get antibiotics, the gut flora, which is good for you, tends to die off and leaves C. difficile, which is a bad flora, which gives you something called oh, come on, brain, think. Gives you C. difficile or a colitis, if you will, of that, which then you need Bactrim or another antibiotic to try to get rid of it. So I have that on standby also.
All right,
What
well, let's
else?
talk about what happened this situation, not the history of it.
Okay. Well, this one was different. Usually I have a chance to go ahead and get the sensation early on, see it early on, start the two injection antibiotics, the two oral antibiotics, and usually get things fixed, and no one's any the wiser. This one was different. I woke up on a Thursday morning, the 19th, thinking it was the 18th. Wasn't feeling too great. Really didn't feel like eating. Felt worse as the day went on. Went to Subway, went through the drive-through, and then checked my blood sugar, which was 50. Got some orange juice to check the blood sugar back up. Got back to the hotel. It got up to about 100 because I have this device in my arm which gives me a constant feedback. Saw the blood sugar was starting to come down a little bit. So I went ahead and got some pop with sugar in it. Was starting to watch Silver Pros. And then I got a phone call from the doctor saying, "Where are you?" "What do you mean, where am I?" I says, "You're supposed to be here. You're not here. You're late." Like, "Don't come today. Come tomorrow. Tomorrow's the 19th." So, "No, today's the 19th." Well, I was completely confused. I hurried up and got out of the bed,
Okay, so
out
let
of the
me
chair.
interject again. So I'm going to be talking about key elements. So the first thing
Okay.
is that we have to look at is Tiger's awareness of what's going on around him. So that's kind of a warning sign number one. This is something that's being missed. It's something that it's not thought about. We're not thinking about it. Sometimes you chalk it up to, oh, there might have been busy. Oh, there were a lot of things going on. Oh, there were things that were happening. But the first warning sign was right here, and this was the moment that uh, when Tiger started to talk about this, I was like, oh, okay. So this is where we started to really start to understand that there was something seriously wrong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be periodically stopping you and giving people these little points. Now, it's really easy. And I know we have some first responders in here. I know we have some people who are diabetic. I know we have some people that have medical issues. So many of you are going to be hearing these things. And what's important as we go through this is to stop, take note of the situations that are happening so that people can identify what they are as they go through um, being able to exactly ringmaster rate, orientation, loss of what you're at, loss of kind of understanding. These are the little bits and pieces of information that are extremely important. So go ahead, let's go ahead and continue.
Okay. So I realized that I had forgotten and I had to hurry up and get ready. I barely got through the shower and uh, barely I got my clothes on, barely got into the car, barely drove to the hotel, which is only 5 minutes away. Got out of the car, and every step I took, I was weaker than the step before. By the
Warning
time I
sign
got
number
in,
2, pain associated with standard motion.
well, there wasn't so much pain, it was just energy was gone.
Right.
When I get inside the waiting room, I look around and see a wheelchair sitting there and realized, oh crap, I've got nothing left. And so I sat in the wheelchair, start having dry heaves, looked at the lady behind the glass counter and told her I needed to get seen. Um, at which time I was wheeled over. The doctor who was supposed to relieve came out. He was mad at me because he realized he wasn't going to get home on the time frame he wanted to get home on. I apologized to him. So, dude, I didn't do this to you on purpose. I'm a workaholic. I don't like to miss work. You know, for me, missing work is it's an insult to everyone, and an insult to me, and an insult to my wife because I like to provide.
Okay, so here again, we have another warning sign, right? We have a person who is driven, determined. We all know that Tiger is a workaholic. We know that he enjoys what he does. So again, another warning sign. He's incapable of performing the tasks that he does. So again, as we look through these, and Tiger, I'm going to cut you off periodically because it's important for people to understand that when you're in the situation, you may not recognize these. But as people in the community, as we're looking at stuff and we're hearing things, we need to be picking up these little signs and symptoms. Okay. So we've already seen loss of orientation, loss of awareness. Now, what he didn't tell you was that earlier in the day, I had spoke to him, and his blood sugar was in the 50s. Okay, very low. I was already extremely concerned about him because I already knew that his blood sugar was really low. This is when he went, he got his Subway, and he had done this. Now, it was at that point where the conversation between him and I stopped because he got called into work, and then, I figured he was going to go to work, not a big deal. So there was no more communication between him and I at this point. Okay. So is that normal? Absolutely. Right. Hey, I got to go to work. Yep. No problem. We'll talk to you later. Have a good day. So there was nothing up to this point that was any concern because his blood sugar was going back up. Excuse me. He had been eating. He was cognizant. He was aware. Everything was fine. So everything that happened after this point was not known to me. And so there was no way for me to do this. Now, oh, sorry. To get back to where we were, to get back to where we're at, he's sitting in a wheelchair. He's at the hospital. Doctor recognizes something's going on. He recognizes something's going on. The nurse is getting there and they're getting ready to assess him. So let's go ahead and move to the assessment piece.
Okay, so I knew something was really bad because I'd never that fatigued. So I go ahead, they put me into an exam table, and my blood pressure was through the floor. They had to start pumping my blood pressure up with fluids, and then later with medicines that cause blood pressure to go up. We call those pressors. Um, Sorry, that's my IV. So basically, uh, they're talking to me. They're telling me I'm not exactly talking straight normal. Um, I'm having trouble getting out of the bed because they put the rails up to keep me from falling down, but they kept giving me so much fluid I had to pee a lot. So unfortunately, I kind of wasted on myself, which was embarrassing. But then near the end of the ER visit, I felt the tingling pain that I'm so very familiar with for cellulitis. Touched the leg, felt it even more so. Told the doctor that came in to relieve the previous doctor, it's like, there's your problem, it's cellulitis. Well, I was so out of it that they had to put me in the ICU because of my blood pressure. My oxygen level dropped. I mean, I'd never been septic before. Well, that's an impressive disease. Um,
Yeah.
so I wake up the next day and I am beat red from my knee to my ankle. I've never gotten that bad that fast ever.
Okay,
My
so
wife,
this is I'm going to stop. This is where I want to start moving into. From here on out, he's under medical care. He's getting treated. So we'll talk about some things. I'm going to open some questions up to chat. I've got some photos. And I've got to warn you guys, I don't know that I necessarily want to show these or post these. They could be problematic for some. I'm going to leave it to chat. If somebody says no, then we're not going to show it. A single person saying no is going to refute it for everyone. Um, so thanks, Tiger, for the kind of the reiteration. We'll kind of get to how you're doing here in just a few moments. Hey, thank you, Tani, for the new subscriber. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And as we look through the situation, I want to kind of reflect on a little bit about what was going on and what's happening. Now, I've got a couple screens open. I'm looking at some information that I'm going to be showing up for you, and I'm going to be putting this beside me. And there's a couple things here um, that I kind of want to. I'm going to have this set up. So I'm not. Don't worry about the. I'm not worrying about it looking pretty or anything like that. And I'm just going to set this beside me. So these are some of the checklist items. We'll be talking about things like developing a plan and having all this stuff up. So we're going to get to this in just a minute. But I want to recurse kind of what happened during this time frame, and I want to talk to you about making mistakes. If there are any young people watching this, and most likely by now they're like, "Oh my God, this is a bunch of old people talking about medical stuff." Um, there is no age limit to something like this happening. It doesn't matter. You could be riding your bike, your buddy could get hit by a car, you could be out shooting your pellet guns. Something that happened to me when I was young. It was raining outside. We were sitting there. Girl went to wipe off um, pellet gun with a jacket, and it shot. Fortunately, the pellet lodged between my ribs and didn't enter my lung. So there's all sorts of issues that can happen, items that can happen, accidents that can happen, planned, unplanned events. When things happen, things happen. But when we look at Tiger's situation, there were a couple things that were going on that, as him and I have talked over the course of the last week, and I provided you guys updates and things like that nature, it point to insufficiencies in our preparedness. And this is something we talked about it. Mad Stacker said something when we were on Steve's stream, when we were talking to Oregon. And this is extremely important. Okay. Number one is make sure you understand kind of where people are going, what's going on, what's their surrounding. Have a trusted partner. You guys have heard this from me all the time. There should be one person in every one of your life that knows what's going on. They know how to get a hold of your spouse. They know how to get a hold of your significant other. They know how to get a hold of, maybe it's your work, maybe it's your a family, a parent. It doesn't really matter. Have somebody that knows what's going on. Um, Tiger and I talk almost every day, right? Quite literally, we talk about every day. And so, what really set me off to something was probably going wrong was later that day on Thursday, sending him a message and him not responding. He is busy, not a problem. Normally, I will get a read receipt on my telephone from Tiger saying that, hey, acknowledged it, whatever, just can't respond. I'm busy, whatnot. It lets me know that he at least seen the message. Nothing. Well, the first issue in this was that I knew he was having a diabetic issue because we knew his blood sugar at one point was 58. Now, for those of you who know that the diabetes, that's very low. That's problematic. So when we talk about that number, at the time, I was concerned about it. It wasn't that big of a deal because he was eating. The number had come, well, it had come back up to like 100, right? 105.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So I stayed on the phone with him. We talked through the entire thing. I made sure that he was back where he needed to be, and he was good. And then he's like, "Oh man, you know what? I got a phone call. I got to let you go. I'll talk to you in a little while." Not a big deal. He called me back. He says, "Hey, I got to go to work." And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, no problem. Call me later on tonight if you get the chance. If not, we'll talk later on. No big deal. I'll call you tomorrow." And that was the end of it. So in my mind, I already knew that there was a situation where the diabetes was a concern. But at this point, there was nothing for me to be concerned about. Now, there were some things that happened along this. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to kind of break this down and walk out piece by piece. So Tiger got a telephone call. He had to go to work. Well, when he left to go to the hospital, what he didn't tell you, and again, the devil is in the details, folks. Okay. These are where the little situations come up. Tiger didn't take his stuff to work with him. Tiger didn't take his cell phone. Tiger didn't take his charger. Did you have your backpack? I
Uh,
don't think you did you?
yes, yes,
Oh, you had your backpack?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a backpack, but I don't keep my stuff there.
Okay. So, but I mean, if any of you know Tiger, he always has his phone handy, right? And so he left without his phone. Now, have we forgot our phones before? Yeah, not a big deal. It happens. But this caused problem number one. And that was no one had any method by which to get a hold of him. And Tiger, being out of sorts and out of mind, didn't have any information and had no way of contacting anybody but his wife. Now, that could have been done through a couple different avenues: emergency contact through his work, the hospital, pulling up insurance information. They had a way to get a hold of his wife. The problem is this is where community failure one occurred. Okay. And this is the stems the entire conversation. As members of a community, we should have one person that we go to. One person should have our information. This has got to be a trusted person, folks. This has got to be somebody who you 100% unequivocally trust with everything. And I mean, they don't have to have bank accounts and stuff like that, obviously, but they need to be somebody that you would trust with your significant other to go have dinner, go hang out, talk, chat, be by themselves. People you inexplicitly trust. Now, as a believer, I don't think that it's wise for any man to go sit with another man's woman. But what I mean by that is that you need to have somebody you 100% unequivocally can trust. No one had any way to get a hold of Tiger. Tiger didn't have any telephone numbers. That's problem number one. I didn't have any contact information from Tiger. Problem number two. I didn't have any way of getting hold of his wife. Now, what I did know, and one of them happened by happenstance, because I had just sent him something. So I happened to know exactly where he was staying, was able to reach out to the hotel and say, "Hey, I haven't heard from my buddy for 2 days. Can you go check his room?" They're like, "He's not there." Okay. I know you can't give me any information. Explained a couple things to him. No contact. We talk daily. There's some issues going on. Can you look to see if his vehicle's there? His vehicle is not there, sir. I can't give you any more information. We violate any privacy protection stuff, blah, blah, blah. Understand. No problem. Okay. Tiger's not there. I don't have a way of getting a hold of him at work. He's not responding. Maybe he lost his phone. Not a problem. He could have left the phone on top of the rental vehicle, drove away. They can't find his phone. Not a big deal. Check my email. I got no response for email. So, number one, I knew he had a diabetic situation. Number two, now I have no way of contacting him. So, there's some concern that is being built. The hospital's not there. He hasn't been there for a day and a half. And so it's like, what's going on? Now, mind you, this is now Friday. And then still no word, no nothing. Saturday morning rolls around. I still haven't been able to get a hold of Tiger. And his wife comes into stream and says, Tiger's in ICU. Now, if it wouldn't have been for social media, if it wouldn't have been for the fact that I was streaming on Saturday morning, she wouldn't have had my email. You can go to the page, but not everybody knows to go to somebody's page, click on the who am I, whatever, and then click on that information. The information, here you can put exclamation point email. Well, you can't do that because Nightbot and Streamlabs and StreamYard and all that other stuff, none of those commands work in normal chat. It only works if you're in a live stream situation. So all the other elements that I have set up for people to get a hold of me don't work. They don't actually work because um, you can't you can't utilize them because I wasn't doing a live stream. So she came in and said, "Hey, Frosty, Tiger's in the ICU. Outstanding. Can you get a hold of me? I don't have your information. Here's my email." She got my email, sent me a message. I contacted her, contacted the hospital, and then we were able to do that. So there were a lot of things that happened, and it started to kind of shine a light on some of the gaps in the relationship, friendship Tiger and I have, but also accountability, preparedness, the opportunity to look at some of these things that allow us to not monitor and track each other, but make sure everybody's okay. So I want to go to the very first one. And if you look on this thing, and I'm going to make this big real quick, the first one is develop a plan. Now, developing a plan, anybody who's ever coordinated travel of any kind has bought plane tickets, they've gone through and they've booked their hotel, they've made travel arrangements to and from the airport to the hotel. If they're doing any excursions, they've booked their excursions. We've all gone on vacation. We've all gone out for a night on the town. We've all had somebody, if you have kids, you've had a babysitter, you've had somebody come through. They have telephone information, they have contacts. People put this stuff in the cell phone. But with the age of technology, something that doesn't happen quite frequently in many places is the fact that people don't have numbers written down anymore. Tiger, do you know your wife's number without looking at it?
Yes.
Okay, so do I, right? Um, there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of there's a lot of people. I know my daughter knows my number. My daughter knows her mom's number. My son, if I ask my son, he'd be like, I don't have a clue what your number is. Um, so it's important that for men who have a wallet or for ladies with a purse or some sort of bag, have a list of contacts, 2, 3, 4, whatever, that are your primary go to emergency contacts, and write their telephone numbers down. Make sure you keep that with you. Men, keep that in your wallet. If you want, you can take that to like Office Max or something like that and get it laminated. Um, there's an elementary school that has emergency cards by us, and you can go in and you can fill one out. They'll even laminate it for you. They do it for the kiddos, but the parents can go in and get that stuff done. The high school that my daughter goes to will also allow you to write down emergency contact information, and they'll laminate it either on a sheet or on a card for you. So find a place that'll allow you to laminate, write those informations down, and put that in there, right? The second thing that you want to do is make sure that people know how to get a hold of people. Set time frames, set durations, right? So if you are going, for instance, you guys know that not too long ago, my wife and I did a European trip. There was contact information that was given to a couple people, every hotel that we were at, what our general timeline was going to be, where we were going, where we were going to be, when we were supposed to arrive, when we were supposed to depart. Full on itinerary was provided, not only to my work, but to a couple friends and my sons, to make sure that they were aware of what was going on, what was happening, what was, so if they needed anything, they knew how to get a hold of us. And if anything was to happen, they would know where we were supposed to be so that people would understand to and from. Now, we do this for vacation, we do this fine. But what I found in talking with a number of people here is that a lot of people don't do this when we do things like coin shows. If we're going to do like travel, so for instance, Tiger works on the road, there's a lot of people who don't document this stuff. And so while we do this for major vacations, we need to be doing and tracking these kind of items for um, our normal day-to-day travel. Now, earlier in the stream, there was a conversation that was said by Chuck Stacker that said he had a medical incident a month ago and he didn't recognize what was happening. His coworkers recognized there was a problem and they were able to step up. If you have somebody in the community that you talk to every day, that person should have your information. They should be able, because if they don't talk to you for a couple of days and that's not normal, they should have a way to be able to reach out and say, hey, is everything okay? Folks, I'm going to tell you something, and we all know this, looking at coins, looking at silver, looking at gold, you'll get that you'll get that feeling in the pit of your gut. It tells you something's not right. When you get that, listen to it. If you're walking past somebody in the hall and they just don't look right, stop them. Hey, sorry, I don't mean to intrude. Are you okay? Everything all right? You guys know I told you guys the story of what happened with me stopping and telling a lady a joke and the way it changed her life. And she prevented, that moment prevented her from committing suicide. Um, your stomach, your mind's eye catches things. And if something doesn't feel right, take heed to that. It's way easier to say, I just want to make sure everything was okay. I apologize. People will respect that more than, oh man, I really should have acted on this, and then later find out that if you would have acted, you probably could have saved somebody's life. Okay. So make sure you have those things in place. It's really important. So develop a plan and then have your contacts list. Make sure your contacts lists are together. Now, Tiger, since then, I have your wife's information. I have both of her numbers. I have ways to get a hold of you. You have my number. She has my number. We all have each other's emails. We've locked that up, right? There's nothing open there. Anything was to ever happen, we have a way of getting hold of each other's. Is there a gap still?
Well, I don't remember your email off the top of my head exactly, but I now can tell my wife to go look you up. And in the meantime, if I don't have my computer with me, I went back to an old technique that existed long before cell phones did. Um, I use a technique where I imagine a keyboard in front of me when someone tells, and I don't have paper in front of me, where I imagine my fingers pushing the keys in succession, and then I remember the pattern. So, in fact, while you were talking, I went through that mental exercise and went into my phone and confirmed that I remembered it correctly. So, you got to go back to older techniques to make up for a lack of technology. And if
So
it's all,
again, this is something that, and I need to get this together. The one thing Tiger doesn't have is Tiger doesn't have my wife's information. That's going to be rectified today. I'm going to make sure that he has, and his wife has my wife's information, so that there's that accountability piece. Number three on this checklist item is an accountability partner. An accountability partner is not just a contact. Okay, so they're separated. An accountability partner is a person that you 100% unequivocally can trust and that can tell you something about you in a way that not too many other people can. Um, they might be a mentor, they may be senior to you, they may be junior to you, um, they may be just a really good friend like Tiger and I. And the accountability partner isn't necessarily a contact thing. It's I'm keeping you honest thing. Tiger and I were talking about diabetes. We're talking about him taking care of himself. And I I'm not going to say that I've self-supported. Coach is taking lunch. Okay, gotcha. Um I've told him, it's like, look, dude, we can't allow you to get to this position again. Okay. So there are things that are going to have to be put into place. If it's going for a walk, if it's looking at things like um, setting up plans for meal prep while you're traveling, looking at things like, hey, what kind of beverages are you drinking? I heard you crack a soda earlier. Um, what kind of things do we need to do to do that and actually hold him accountable? And I also need, and Tiger and I have talked about this. We've talked about it when I help him with technology, and we talk about it when we look at things like doing certain things. Tiger and I talk a lot. His wife and him and I joke quite frequently. He's like, "Oh, you're talking to your girlfriend," um, and it's like, "Well, no, we're not on YouTube." And she's like, "No, Frosty." And it's kind of a joke, but again, it's one of those things. Tiger and I talk a lot. We talk about improving our channels. We talk about how to provide you guys content. We talk about these kind of things. I do a lot of tech support for him. You guys know this. Um, Tiger is extremely smart, and that's going to get into something when we talk about some practice care issues, which is deference to expertise. This is extremely important. It's something that doctors struggle with. Tiger's a doctor. This is something that doctors struggle with. We talk about this in healthcare. It's actually one of the principles of safe practice. So there are there are some things that are going on with Tiger and I. There's some discussions that are happening, and so it's having that accountability partner. I have told Tiger there's going to be some times here in the near future that you're not going to like me, and he started laughing and said, "What in the future?" Like I don't already. Um, but and Tiger, I mean, like, what kind of stuff have I been telling you that I'm going to monitor you on? Like, what kind of things that we've already started to talk about?
You're gonna nag me to death about what my food choices are. Um, so is the wife, by the way, and uh, I'm assuming you're gonna nag me a little bit about me getting up and moving about a little bit more than what I do.
Absolutely.
Um, so the wife right now is wanting me. She wants me to move less, and I'm like, I need to get up. I need to mobilize the fluid in the leg. Just to give you all a basic follow through. When I was brought out of the ER, there was a night my leg was killing me, and it was. I thought maybe I had an abscess. I had a CAT scan, and it wasn't the abscess. It was the third spacing was so bad. I've never seen anything quite so bad. That all the fluid was in there, and the fluid was already irritable based upon the infection. So the fluid, the tissues were willing to separate and leave pockets of fluid, not abscess. And I've been on Lasix to make me pee to get that out of there, plus periodic compression ACE bandages to try to get it out of there. And for 2 days ago, I started walking with a walker to mobilize the fluid. Wife had a fit. Um, Yesterday, I walked without the walker and did it twice. Wife had a fit, but I want to get home. If I can prove that I can ambulate without problems, without too much of a fall issue, which I've demonstrated, was not a problem. Although yesterday I had an increase in level of pain because of the 2 rounds of walking. It wasn't really that much. It was just up and down the hallway 10 laps. Um, but I want to go home. I'm tired of
So
being a patient.
we talked about this too. And this is where deference to expertise comes in. So as a physician, and I'm going to be, if there are other doctors in here, I joke because uh, my dermatologist was the first doctor I seen with a sunburn. I had a pulmonologist who smoked. Um, and here we have an ER doc trying to work his own system to get home early. Okay. Tiger and I have talked very vigorously about, look, dude, you're a fall risk, right? I know you want to improve yourself, but there are situations where people can put themselves in and other people because we are looking at trying to do what we want to do. And so, one thing that I've told Tiger, and again, this goes back to the accountability piece, right? So, really looking at this piece right here and actually seeing this accountability, keeping somebody accountable. Sometimes your accountability partner is going to tell you stuff that you don't want to hear, but it's not because they're being an ignorant ass. It's because, well, maybe they are an ass, but they're out to actually give you good, solid information and make sure you're being
Who,
protected.
who you? Never.
um, yeah, Steve LaPointe and he's like, I don't like you either, but I support you. Um, but the thing here is that what Tiger needs to understand, again, as a physician, he understands the process. But what we need to look at when we're talking about these types of things is that there are other people involved. So when you're accountable, you have to give people an understanding and remind them of what we call the secondary and tertiary meaning third effects. So if he falls, his nurse can get in trouble, his doc can get in trouble, and so his hospital can get in trouble. So you need to think about yes, I understand you want to get out of there, but what's primary importance is actually health. Okay. I know you want to get stuff done. I know you do the process, but this is where you need to stop. You need somebody in your life. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a community that's badass. People who are respectful and care. We bend over backwards to make sure people are taken care of. You need to have somebody. If you are a YouTube creator, you need to have somebody that tells you that that video sucked. You need to have somebody that says your audio sucks. Great Scott, great example. Hey, we've talked about this before. You got to a great point. You got to somewhere that was really important, and then your stuff went out. We couldn't hear you. Um, there was no more. Redeem coffee. Thanks, Great Scott. Um, and then there's me. What's going on, 9 for 9? But again, it's one of those things you need to have somebody in your life that you can be accountable to. And you need to have somebody that you can talk to that would say, uh, if you'll let me be kind of a jerk for a minute, that's not smart. So I told Tiger the other day, I know you want to do this and I know you want to prove this, but I need you to slow down a little bit. I've also told him not to worry so much about pushing out content on his YouTube. It's more important to provide updates to the people in our community because they care about you. They're concerned about you. I want you guys all in chat. Now, Tiger is on the phone. He can't see chat because he can't be on here and talk to us and then actually look at chat. But I want you guys to put into chat. He can go back through and he can look at this piece and we'll bookmark this at 9:14 a.m. Would you guys rather see him put out a video on Nikolai Tesla, or would you rather see him put out information telling you that, hey, the leg is better, I'm building up strength, I'm able to walk? Would you guys be more concerned about who he is as a person or something about silver or gold? And
Tesla.
well, I didn't ask you. I know what your answer is. And he is being a smart aleck, by the way, because this guy is very gracious. Great Scott's absolutely right. Health comes first. And so I want people to understand that as we talk about preparedness, as we talk about this, the whole primary tint of this is that health and community, right? If you know that you're surrounded by people who care about you, then you have the opportunity to make more. Starika wants to know, do you have an insulin toonie? It's a Canadian coin that has a little, they're colorized and non-colorized. And it's for the person who discovered and developed insulin. Do you happen to have one of those coins?
No, I don't. Never even heard of one.
Starika, I will give you his information. Email me and I will follow up and send you his P.O. box and you can send him an insulin toonie. He wants you to have this as a pocket piece. So every once in a while, when you reach into your pocket, you open it up and you see this to make sure that you remind yourself that hey, I need to make some better choices. Starika, I think that's
Thank you.
fabulous. I really do like that. 949 says $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Tiger, slow down a bit, heal up that you can continue to educate, entertain, and heal others. 949, I couldn't say it any better. Again, Tiger, I know I've told you this a number of times, but your health is more important than putting out content. Okay. This is where it's important. People in the community want to know that you're good. They like what you do, they like your banter, they like your fun, but we're more concerned about health. And this is where the emergency contact, we talk about all this stuff and having all that stuff into place. When we're talking about traveling, have you completed your tasks? Okay, so I'm going to get back to this. Have you completed your tasks? Have you done the checklist? Have you given the people the emergency contacts? Do you have your accountability partner? Do people know where you're at? Have you given somebody your itinerary? If you haven't done that, make sure you're giving that stuff out. The last one is security. Now, this is something that Tiger and I talked about, and Tiger has talked about this with his wife, being that he is in New Mexico and his wife is not. She's home. There are advents that they have taken care of. Um, they have things in place. They know what's going on. Tiger and his wife have addressed this to the T. I will say without doubt that I fully understand Tiger gets this. Okay. He's all about self preservation, protecting yourself. You guys seen him talk about stacking and prepping and educating and doing stuff like that. Tiger does this very, very well. Okay. So, security component. Now, the other component to this is traveling. When you're traveling, um, security also happens when you're away from home. So make sure that your hotel has some certain information about you. Make sure that they have emergency contacts. Okay. When you fill out your sheet, give them a document. It says I'm in room 999, and um, this is, if anything is to ever happen to me, these are the people that you have the authority to contact. Right here are the people. Tiger and I got a hold of the hotel, talked to the management staff, went through, because Tiger wasn't of sound mind on day 3. He was still kind of not quite with it. He knew some of the basic stuff, but we had to kind of go through some stuff. But I couldn't talk to the hotel because I wasn't listed as as an emergency contact. They didn't have the authority to do so. So I got a hold of the management. I got a hold of the leadership there at the hotel suite that he's in. Had a great conversation, brought in Tiger, got the authority, did whatever. And then we also said that if anything was to happen, he was going to provide the medical staff at the hospital that he's staying with authority to speak on his behalf. So talked to the management, told them what was going on. And because of that, we were able to get somebody from the hotel, from the hospital to the hotel, pick up some of his essential items, and then get them back to him. So make sure you have those items taken care of so that if in a situation that hospital, or that, excuse me, not the hospital, the hotel that you're staying at has the capability to get a hold of certain people. A lot of people don't like to give out more information than they should, and a lot of people are not going to necessarily agree with this. But in an emergency situation, if you are unable to speak or do whatever, and you have artifacts that need to be picked up, the hotel cannot do it without approval. And if you're incapacitated for any reason, somebody needs to be able to speak for you. So the authority to act on your behalf needs to be given. So make sure you have something that's provided to the hotel for that time frame. It protects the hotel and it protects you. What if you lose your phone? We talked about this just a moment ago. Tiger didn't have his telephone, okay? Tiger didn't have the capability to get a hold of me. He had no contact information. Technology is a great thing, folks. Technology helps you really advance. We do things like I can create YouTube shorts and talk to my friends overseas, and I can send emails, and I can do some really cool thing. I can have AI search documents for me while I'm at work, looking up other stuff or writing articles. If I'm If I'm pulling stuff up, I can put in search criteria and have it pull up information while I'm working on the computer, and pull up my phone and do this stuff. Technology is amazing. But we become so dependent on utilizing it that we forget to do some of the basics, like memorize some of our numbers. Tiger talked just a moment ago about pattern recognition. We're really good about understanding patterns. I'm going to give you guys an example of this. If you know, please, by God Almighty, let's be smart about this. Okay, I'm going to ask you to enter a single digit, not no more than one. If you guys know your social security by heart, put a one in chat. Okay. If you know that number, put a one in chat. Okay. And I want to explain to you why this is an important distinction. Look at this. Okay. We've got a number of ones in here. Perplexed mind is like, I don't even know what a social security is. We got a lot of ones in here. Guess what? It's the same amount of digits as a telephone number. If you can memorize your social security number, you can memorize a telephone number. Start committing that stuff to memory. Social security number is extremely important for you to memorize, but it's also extremely important for you to have an emergency contact memorized. It's also important for you to have that down, because if you're incapacitated, you can't explain it to somebody. You may not be able to write it down. Okay. They're the same amount of digits, folks. If you can do one, you can do the other. I don't want to hear the fact that you can't remember this. Actually, Roxilla, I do. I can tell you my credit card numbers. I can tell you my driver's license number. I can tell you my EPIDN, my government ID number when I worked for the Air Force. Yes, I memorize my numbers because there's always situations where I might not have something. There may be a situation where something is stolen. But yes, I do remember those things. So it's really important. I don't know my wife's driver's license number. I know the numbers that are in it, but I can't remember what they are exactly. But I do know her social security number. I know my daughter's, my son's social security numbers. Um, so me, I believe that. I believe that you could tell me your VIN from your truck. I definitely believe that you could do that. Nightbot remembered. Oh, exclamation point. That's funny. So yeah, it's really important that you guys remember that. And again, having a couple of those items, it's really important for you to memorize. When we talked about security, there are things within your cell phone that you got to be careful with. Cell phones, anything that gets done on a cell phone is open to the general public. People don't realize that, but it's on a survey somewhere. It's on a server somewhere. There's somewhere that data is stored, and now there's protections behind it and issues like that. But most people don't read privacy protection. They don't read terms of engagement. They don't read terms of conditions of service. And there's a lot of stuff in there that allows them to access contacts and information and passwords and website strategies and all sorts of stuff from your phones. And we, as a people, tend to just say yes because we're in a hurry. We don't want to read the terms of conditions. For those of you who can't stand Disney, Disney does something really interesting in their terms of conditions, in which I sent a letter of revocation to Disney corporate, revoking my thing for Disney on a thing that they did, saying that if you had Disney Plus, that you could never, ever, 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 ever sue for any reason at any point in history. You could never sue Disney for anything that ever happened for them. It's in their terms and conditions when you sign up for Disney Plus. I canceled Disney Plus and I sent in a revocation of that and said, I rescind my acceptance of the terms and conditions as of such and such date. I no longer support that. So you've got to be very careful with the information. When look at your terms and conditions, look at that stuff, because a lot of technology, a lot of security allows for some really funky stuff. So again, be paying attention to that. But talking about memorization, it's really important that you memorize your telephone numbers. You have at least your spouse and your one important accountability person. Make sure you commit those to memory. And if you can, put them on a card, laminate them, stick it in your wallet, put it in your purse, somewhere that you have it on your persons at all time. Starika, I really, really keep going back to that Toonie. I really like that. We all, as a coin collector, we know what pocket pieces are. They used to be watches or coins. And having a pocket piece, something where you pull it out, you lay it down, and you see it, and that constant reminder. That's always really good to have something remind you. It could be a person, it could be a thing, it could be something that you remember, commit to memory. But it's really important to have something committed to memory and not necessarily put it all on your technology. Tiger,
Yes.
I know I talked a lot, and I'm going to turn it back over to you because this is more your area of expertise.
You talk
Okay.
a lot. I never noticed.
This is number 9 on the list of 11 items. Number 10, emergency funds. So let's talk about the situation where you're in New Mexico for a job, but you haven't been able to complete the job for how many days?
I've missed 4 days of work.
Okay. So here we are. Hey, Kevin, what's up? Um, what what do you do as a channel? What do you do as far as talking to people and preparing? Scotty Aquati, you talk a lot.
Stacking,
I do talk a lot.
stacking up, stacking and prepping. No, Frosty never talks a lot.
I talk almost as
Uh,
much as you, bro.
yeah, we'll see.
Almost. Almost.
Uh, anyway, but no, I talk about prepping and stacking and wealth preservation and food and water preservation and other stuff.
So why is this important in the conversation that we're having today?
Because I worry that I won't have enough money put aside from the work that I did in order to make ends meet. So I I've left loads of teaching tools behind for the wife. She hasn't read them. I love her to death. When I go home, I'm going to break out the stuff that I'm willing to part with so that I can make sure that there's more than enough money there. Um, I've gotten her to promise to do this with me because I not only set stuff aside, but I then go through two uh, uh, spreadsheets, one of which is my stash spreadsheet, and the other one is uh, my capital gains and loss spreadsheet. So if I have to sell, did I get a gain? Did I get a loss? I can claim those on the taxes. And also the other spreadsheet allows me to keep accuracy of what I truly have and don't have. So my wife hopefully will do this with me as a educational tool because I told her numerous times I'm not a young man anymore, and I want her to be able to do this when I'm gone. So I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah. So the reason that we talk about this is because, again, this is where we talk about prepping, we talk about stacking. You'll see this in many stacking channels. Take this off. My eyes are hurting a little bit. We talk about this in many stacking channels, and you'll see it in any channel who's a genuine prepper. And that is SHTF. Okay. Now, what we don't talk necessarily a lot about is what SHTF means. A lot of people look at SHTF as being the cataclysmic event, the big thing that wipes out our structure or wipes out our system. But SHTF is quite that. It's just, and if my mom's on, sorry for the swearing, but it's when the shit hits the fan. And the reason that that's important is it doesn't matter what that is. It could be a medical event like Tiger. And what's happening is you're in a situation where you need to go back to whatever it is and sell some of your silver. I know there's a couple people that I've talked to that have come into the streams that have had difficult times where they've had to just go do something. We had an update. Steve Lapointe updated us just a few minutes ago that Jack Gallman from Marion, North Carolina, they're in an area where they've lost a lot of power. They're going to be without power for a number of days. So having an emergency preparedness kit, having some water on hand, having some extra money, some batteries, matches, lighter, maybe a propane tank, some candles. Um, Having some sort of food-based item to do canned foods or whatever it might be to kind of get you through that hump. Of the most important items to have is water, right? Water is extremely important. If you can't get water, now it's okay if it's snowing outside, but if you're in the desert or you're in a situation, they had tons and tons and tons of rain, but it's not necessarily going to affect them or be something that they can go grab and they just can't, pour it and kettle it because you don't know what else is in it. And so having good supply of stores of water and stuff like that. So I full heartedly agree with being prepared and having stuff together. That's your preparation for kit. Preparing for the worst. It's better to be prepared and not have to use it and then have to buy updates later on than not have it. In this particular case, there are some things that Tiger did to prepare himself for the journey. So, looking at uh, Tiger, you're going to have to talk a little bit about this. You got a video coming out about this. So, we'll
I
give a
do.
little plug to a video that's going to be coming out soon. Without telling everybody what the premise of the video is, can you give them a little kind of a hint, hint, nudge, nudge of what's going to be released on your channel soon?
Yeah. There was another hospital. I work for a company, sends me to different hospitals. And a doctor at one of the other hospitals got himself let go. And then all of a sudden, the company's inadequacy was put on my shoulders, which wasn't really fun. So it was hurry, hurry, do. And I couldn't because I was working night shift and I needed to sleep in the day, but the other hospital wanted. And I just couldn't do that. And I kept putting back on their shoulders like, no can do. But the internet said it was a 5.5 hour journey between hospitals. The nurses said it was 7 hours, which is a significant difference. So I went to Walmart, bought a $5 styrofoam cooler with plans on having ice in the cooler and being able to, if something happened, I would have something. Also, because of what happened to me the winter before, when my cell phone was not cooperating with the truck, they weren't talking to each other. So I turned off the cell phone, turned off the truck, turned on the cell phone, and the truck wouldn't turn on. For whatever reason, it drained the battery and it cost me over $400 to get it replaced. But at that particular moment, I just had just barely enough electricity in the cell phone to reach out and ask for help. And someone was kind enough in the organization that I was then working for to come get me and drop me off at the hospital. And I was thinking about that during this potential scenario, I went back to a company that I buy uh, my non-perishable food from for Patriots, and got a block that holds electricity either by solar recharging or direct DC recharging. And I've tested it and it works great. Interestingly enough, the hospital that wanted me to come on board last minute says, no, we can't take you on board because they didn't process my credential paperwork fast enough, which I was kind of grateful for. I didn't want to go in the first darn place. But it could have gotten where I was going out there and had to deal with the drive on the desert in between the towns that existed, with plans to, every time I get to a gas station, need it or not, fill up, need it or not, double check the fluids, need it or not, check the ice situation, and that way, basically top off everything, so that if something happened, I had some survivability. I do have travel kits at home, but I didn't bring them with me to New Mexico. I'm now starting to toy with the idea of buying a travel kit out here and leaving it in the hospital I work at. So if I have to go somewhere, I can just put it in the car and go. But yeah, I'm constantly thinking about what sort of a snafu would happen.
So the good thing about what he's doing is, number one, we're talking about being prepared, but there are companies out there, there are places out there, and I'm not sponsored by anybody, so I don't. Just because I talk about somebody doesn't mean I'm endorsing a product, and it doesn't necessarily mean one, either I believe in the product or that I'm getting anything from them. So let's be clear about that. Um, but the one thing that was important in what he said, that I picked up on when we were talking about maybe putting this together, was having a generator. When I was looking with him and talking with him about this video that he's doing and looking at generation of thumbnails or stuff like that, kind of the fact that if it wouldn't have been for the fact that he had just a little bit more juice on his phone, he never would have been able to contact somebody. So here he would have been again stranded at the graces of somebody else just driving by. That is a very dangerous place to be put in. And so again, having a plan, right? Really understanding where you're going, what's going on, having check-in points. It all goes back to some of the stuff that I talked about earlier. Are you traveling? Are you going to be going things, having things put into place? Tiger is working on improving that. Now, he's always thinking about the preparedness aspect of that. He does a really good job in that. But even then, he's constantly working to update his plans. When he finds a gap, when he finds a shortfall in his system or in his structure, he works to improve that. This is one thing that I really like about Tiger, and why when Tiger talks about coordination or organization of his stack, or doing process improvement, or looking at things like freedom rounds or stuff like that, making sure he stacks and collects those things, and safe storage and retrieval of those. I listen. I really do pay attention to what he says in this. Tiger really is good at the emergency funds, understanding what happens in the hospital, understanding preparing for the worst, and putting things into action. Um, but there were gaps in the armor. Okay, we talk about the armor. We talk about our faith. We talk about things like that. There were gaps. There were chinks in our armor that, if they line up in the medical field, we talk about the Swiss cheese model. And I'm going to pull up an example of what the Swiss cheese model is, because it's important for people to understand. I think I've talked about this once before. Um, this happens whenever you're looking at uh, situations where, um, come on, open up. All right, let's put this up here. This is this Swiss cheese model. Come on. There you go. This is the Swiss cheese model. So the Swiss cheese model is, what is the hazard? What is the element that is the potential issue? This could be, we talk about this in the medical field as the harm event. Uh, how many people in chat know the difference between diesel and unleaded? Um, right? Everybody's going to be like, well, duh. But there are people who don't, right? But there was something implemented years ago. Can I make it bigger, Frosty? Last time I had a woman ask me that, I got in trouble. There you go. There you go. So basically, what this is you have your Swiss cheese. Okay. Oh, you have your Swiss cheese. And the reason that we call it Swiss cheese is obviously there's a lot of holes in Swiss cheese. And it doesn't matter what kind of plan we have, it doesn't matter what kind of thing that we have. If those holes happen to line up, then we end up with the event occurring. Now, we utilize this a lot in the medical field to talk about things like risk mitigation, risk management, patient safety. But when we talk about it in a stacking community, when we talk about it in a preservation community, we're looking at what is that SHTF situation. And we look at the protections that we have in place. And one of these, and I didn't label this because I didn't want to tie because there's so many potential items here. It could be 20 layers thick. But one of them is technology, right? Do you have all the things that you need for your technology, and do you have your your backup? Do you have extra batteries? Do you have your numbers laminated? Do you have those things? Because if the answer is no, periodically what's going to happen is those items are going to line up, and you're going to be in a situation that Tiger was almost in, where he was stranded in the middle of a desert between two towns, 5 to 7 hours away, where he would have been reliant upon the kindness of a passerby. In today's society, there's nothing to state that somebody wouldn't have taken advantage of that situation and shot him and taken the stuff that he had with him. Um, so again, right, having those things and having those protections in place are extremely important. So I show this when we're talking about the holes due to active failures or gaps in our system. So what today's topic is about is filling some of the holes up and trying to do what you can to minimize the number of holes that are in each layer to prevent you guys from having these line up and ensure that those accidents, those things don't happen. When you talk about the stackers that are in our community and they talk about protecting and self-preservation and making sure that if you don't hold it, you don't own it. What happens if the power goes out? What happens if we lose water for some time and you have to trade services or something like that? These are all kind of those things that fall into this thing. So I want you just to be aware of this particular model. Again, it's not something that is it's not something that a lot of people really think about. You don't think about Swiss cheese when you're talking about issues, but it's a really good example of how holes in our system, holes in the structure of what we do, can cause things to pass through and eventually cause us issues. So I like utilizing the example of the Swiss cheese model. And again, have you guys ever heard of SMART? Do you guys know what SMART is? Is there anybody in chat? Matter of fact, if somebody knows what SMART is, if they can put it in chat, I would appreciate it. I can put it in there. I mean, I have it available to me. But if somebody can tell me what SMART is, it's also good when you're looking at a plan to look at it from a SMART lens. We'll see if somebody can put that in there. If they do, outstanding. And if they don't, then I will do it for you. But again, so Tiger will be dropping that video probably in a couple weeks. I told him to hold off a little bit because he needs to work on his health. Again, that accountability piece, right? Health is way more important than him dropping a video. Achieve SMART
Yeah,
goals. Yep.
marathons tomorrow.
Yeah. Um, is there a marathon New Mexico?
Yeah, a tiger marathon so I can get home.
Yeah. Okay. So again, deference to expertise. He's not very good at that. So that is something else that I wanted to talk about. And I'm going to talk about some principles here. And I want to talk, these are something that are found if you look at health, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, so these are SMART items. These are things that happen in the medical field. So this is on health.mil. If you look at this, this is something that when I worked for the Air Force was something that was there. And one of the items, and we've talked about, who makes good patients, who doesn't make good patients. Technicians are terrible receiving tech support. Doctors are terrible at receiving medical care because it's hard for them to deference their expertise to somebody else. they are used to giving information out. So I've had to tell Tiger a couple times, hey, I know you know the system, but you need to let the provider take care of you. Um, because again, if something happens, your potential for a strike. Now, again, I'm going to go back to the golden rule. Okay. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Would you want a provider under your care managing their own care? Because if something happened and you had an adverse event, whose license does that fall under? So, deference to expertise is something that a lot of people, not just doctors, not medical, deference to expertise is something that a lot of people struggle with, especially if you're really smart in a given area. Um, if Great Scott is still in chat, when I was looking through doing YouTube the very first time and trying to get into Streamlabs and figure out how to build all this stuff and do all this nice little fancy stuff, um, looking at those things, then it's important. Squid cheese. Oh, that's funny. Um, Sorry, I got squirreled. Coach said the squid cheese example is meat. Oh, that made me laugh. Thanks, Coach. Sorry. His Swiss cheese example is also neat. It also shows different layers of protection to provide against the problem. Yeah, it's a great example. It's something I think as a coach, you probably would be able to utilize that for a lot of different items. I love the Swiss cheese example. It's great. But again, deference to expertise. Anybody who's an expert in something fails in that. The other one that a lot of people exactly, coach. Is reluctance to simplify. A lot of times we have to make things so complex. This is something that I'm finding you're seeing some channel growth in my channel because I'm starting to understand something. We tend to talk about something real in depth. But when you're doing something like a short or you're doing a simple video about a very specific item, not everybody's at our level. So sometimes we have to make it really, 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 really easy. And a lot of times it's hard as an educator to do that because you get people who understand, they're like, oh, God, I already know this. Vince Lombardi at the start of every season used to walk out, and the first thing he would do is he would walk out into the field and he would lift up this and say, who knows what this is? And everybody looked at him like he's stupid. And he was like, this is a football. Okay. These are the threads. This is how you hold it. And one guy, after a couple of years of him doing it, was like, Coach, we know this stuff. And he's like, outstanding. And he walked over and he handed it to him and he said, you coach, you're no longer a player of mine. You don't get to play anymore. So now you get to teach because I'm here to teach you and help you grow to make you a better athlete. If you already know it, then I need you teaching everybody else. And it was an extremely powerful moment for that particular player because they realized very, very quickly that fundamentals are the key in understanding some of these things. You'll look at some of those things. You'll look at Vince Lombardi. Watch out. It's a great story. If you haven't seen the story of Vince Lombardi, please go check that out. But again, reluctance to simplify. We tend to make things too complicated. We tend to make things too whatever. I did a little bit with this presentation here. It was difficult because there was so much information. I didn't want a lot of people to come in and go, oh my God, we know this already. But these are two areas that most of us in the professional realm struggle in. And these are areas where we need to be careful, especially in our personal lives. Oh yeah, I know how to get a hold of people. That is a reluctance to simplify. Um, what happens if you can't speak? What happens if you don't know how to sign? What happens if you lose your phone? Well, we'll make it work. That is a terrible answer. That is a terrible thing. And it actually are the precursors to, you guys have heard, well, hold my beer, right? Famous last words. And so, just really be careful with that. Um, I have got nothing else as far as this discussion goes. Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the floor to Tiger and let him just kind of talk about something that if you guys came into Steve's channel when I had Tiger on, or just before I brought Tiger on, we're giving an update, and it choked me up because of something that Tiger said. So, Tiger, I'm going to give you an opportunity. I didn't put you to sleep, did I?
What?
Okay. Um, Careful, you're going to snort yourself into a fit. Um, I want you to tell people what you told me after I had initially put out the call to let people know where you were at. And can you give a little bit of history on why you do YouTube and kind of what you found here? I think that is extremely important for people to hear, especially coming from you and not necessarily from me.
I'm not sure exactly which topic you're talking about, so I'll try to
Let
hit
me
them
lighten it
all
up for you.
quickly.
Let me point you in the right direction. You said that you found something here that you hadn't seen in your life, or very rarely
Okay.
in your life.
Well, in my personal life and professional life, I don't have that many friends. Um, I have a few that do check on me, but and that whole thing. But no, it's always been, what can it, what is in it for me type of thing. So, um, having you all check on me brought a lot of tears to my eyes because I was not expecting it. Um, I know what it's like to have colleagues. I know what it's like to have a wife that has my back. I know what it's like to have a wife that doesn't have my back. I know what it's like to have a son that doesn't have my back and to not see my grandchildren. So being disappointed is kind of commonplace in my world. So when you all have checked on me, asked me how I was doing, uh, it was uh, kind of a shock that it wasn't just lip service. You know, when I put out a phone call from my wife, told her to track down Frosty. Um, I was shocked that Yankee called me in the hotel. Didn't expect that. Yes, I'm a member of his channel on a high-ranking level, and yes, I do have the bantering thing with Rig Nation. Um, and I like to think that I'm more than just a client, but I don't expect it. So when he called me, that was a big shock. Uh, my phone for the few people that I let have my phone number was a huge shock. So I sat there with my jaw on the floor quite a few times with everything that has transpired. Um, so, needless to say, that uh, seeing that I was more than just someone creating content for your education was a happy joy, but not expected. You know, I'm used to being the giver, not the receiver. So I hope that's what you're trying to get at there, Frosty.
Yeah.
Being I hear from different people, it's like my jaw just hits the floor.
So there's something, and Tiger may know the root of this. What I'm about to read to you. It's about wisdom, and there's something in understanding what wisdom is. And there's difference between knowledge and there's a difference between wisdom. Just like there's a difference between acquaintances and there's a difference between friends. What I have on the screen is a very important statement. It says, no friendship is an accident. just like communication. Communication doesn't happen. Communication is something that is worked. It's something that is purposeful. And there's multiple types of communication. But wisdom is something that is very important. And Tiger, these are words that I have, um, that when we talk about the situation you're in as a friend, and I love you, brother, is who is wise and understanding amongst you? Let them show it by their good life and by the deeds that are done in humility, which comes from wisdom. Tiger is a good and gracious person. Tiger wants people to laugh. Tiger wants people to smile. Tiger wants people to um, be better than they are. Tiger generally is a good, solid person. And if you don't know where that came from, it came from James 13 or James 3:13, by the way. But the other one that I have here is from, knowledge comes from understanding. Wisdom is the experience, right? Um, so it's important for you to be firm in your understanding, firm in your beliefs, whether you are, it doesn't matter what faith you are, it doesn't matter if you do or you don't believe in it. If you are, a type of person that's the power of me, then whatever that is to you, okay? I know where Tiger stands in this. I know his faith, and I do know where he stands. I know Yankee's faith. And talking with Yankee, Yankee made sure that he did in his prayer hour to pray for Tiger and make sure that things are done. Um, but one thing that Tiger has done, not just on YouTube, he really looks for people who are wise in the things that he wants to do. So he looks for wisdom. He looks for people who understand and do that, because it's important for you to surround yourself with people who are wise in things, not people who are necessarily smart in things, people who are wise, people who are kind, people who are gracious. But what really matters to me as a person is that we come together. Now, I'm going to summarize what Tiger said to me when he said basically the same basic thing, but the words he chose to me were a little bit different. And what Tiger said to me is, Frosty. So if you guys have ever been in history, and so you've ever been part of a conversation, Tiger references me as a memory of his father, somebody who embodied who his dad was, and I take that kindness very seriously. Um, he has told me a lot about his dad and has told me what a man he was, a magnanimous man, and how he did things. I was as a grandfather, how they reached out and did stuff for others. Okay, really important. Um, but what Tiger told me, yeah, L, it's a huge compliment. But what Tiger told me is he didn't know that people actually cared for him. He knew that people liked his funniness. He knew that people liked the stuff that he did, but he didn't really understand that people cared for him. And so when we talk about understanding people, this is something that a lot of people don't really understand about our community. And folks, if you are in an area or a situation where you don't feel like people care about you, change your environment, right? There's a story about uh, a guy, and it's on social media, and I can't remember, but it's like a '63 Corvette, right? And he's like, you know, it's rusty, the tires aren't on it, and the guy's like, I'll give you $200. And he tells his daughter, okay, now I want you to take this to the dealership. And there's like, oh, yeah, well, or no, I'll take it to the dealership. It's like worth $200. And then he says, take this car and take it to um, this guy over here that restores cars. And he's like, oh man, I'll give you like $2,000 for it. It's kind of beat up, but I can definitely use the frame. He's now, I want you to come with me and we want to go to this car show. and I want you to ask one of the head persons. I told him, showed him the car, and he offered him like $1 million for the car. Your value is in those that you surround yourself with, people who understand your worth. So if you don't feel like you're of worth, change your environment. Connect with people who understand the value that you bring to the table. Connect yourself with people who have a like mind, people who will challenge you. I love Tiger. Tiger's a good friend of mine. And I'm going to challenge his butt to the point to where some days he's not going to like me. And other days he's not going to be able to hang out without me. Because I want my friend to get better. Tiger is of great value to me as a friend. He does a lot of good stuff for me. He makes me laugh. He brings out a level of creativity in me that I don't have by myself. But Professor Rigdabordus came from a conversation between Tiger and I who lit up a series of laughter that, God, Tiger, how long did we laugh? I think we both almost got sick laughing so hard.
Yeah, we did it like 2, maybe 3 times. And the first time was the best, and we just howled and howled and howled. And then later on, when you showed it to your daughter, it just made us howl all the more. She thought we were a bunch of old fogey idiots.
But again, it's surround yourself with people that bring out the best of you. And it's important when you look at the strategies, when you look, there's a lot of feedback. Tiger, can you push mute?
Okay.
It sounds like you have the stream open.
No, I'm in the men's room.
Well, yeah, well, push mute, please, then. Um, there's a there's a lot of uh there's a lot of value that a lot of people don't necessarily recognize from people. And if you're not, I know, Tiger, he is what he is. Hey, you're in or you're out. Just kidding. Um, but surround yourself with people who want to better you. Okay. You are a product of your environment. So if you don't feel like you're thriving in an environment, find one that you are. And I want to say this about many people in this community. Yankees not here. Salivate Metals not here. Coin Crew may not. I don't see Coin Crew in here. Paula, Live Coin Q&A. Ida Herring. Oh my God, I love Ida. Um, Mid America Coins. There's some people out there that I got to meet at Tulsa. Great Scott, my brother. Um, Tiger. Coins Making Sense. Um, Great Scott's dad. There were a number of people, Mad Stacker, I found that there were a lot of people who had same values, same structure, people that didn't have the same value, the same structure, but were genuinely kind and good people. And they actually were interested in what I was doing. They were actually interested in making me a better person. And Tiger is looking for that and doesn't realize quite that he's already found it. And so when Tiger told me that he didn't realize that people cared for it ripped me up. But you guys stepped up and reached out to him. You guys posted comments all through his video. And the power of prayer, the power of a kind word, the power of knowing that you belong and that the people that you surround yourself with, the people that you surround yourself around and through and by, that they have your back, man, there's no better feeling. So, folks, if any of you are struggling with anything, if any of you are in a situation where you don't feel yourself, find that trusted partner. Right? There's a lot of people in this community who have experienced many of the same things. And I bring this up to Tiger, not to pick on Tiger, but to highlight something that this community has done for more than just him. And that is they found a home. They found a home. And not a home as in like your wife and your kids and where you, but a place where people come together and love each other just because they're who they are. I know people in this stream, looking at one right now who has gone through some massive chaos and strife. And I reach out to her periodically and just throw jokes and stuff and let her know that I love her and appreciate her. Um, she's my number two, right? And so there are people out there who have gone through a lot of crazy stuff, but know that you're loved. Okay. There's a lot of people out here who are going through lots and lots and lots of issues and situations. And you guys don't know the power of kindness. And well, y'all do know. I take that back. You all know the power of kindness. And so this community is really good about giving that out. And I just want to say thank you because as my buddy was lying in a hospital bed in ICU, you guys were flooding his streams. You guys were commenting. He told me, he's like, oh my God, Paula commented on my video. I didn't even know she watched my stuff. And I was like, she don't, but she cares about you. She doesn't watch that stuff, but she cares about you.
Little side note: if I offended someone telling them I was in the men's room, I apologize. You got to keep in mind what I do for a living. I don't have. I think in terms of biology, I don't have any filters as far as biology and medicine. So if I offended someone, I apologize.
That's okay. I would just like, hey, in this conversation, you're in or you're out. Sorry.
That's
Um,
okay.
yeah, but it's
Yeah,
just
I was really shocked about Paula.
so there's a lot of people who care, and again, um, it's important that we understand. Robert Pintoff, thank you. He says Frosty and Tiger, this is very therapeutic. Everybody needs to hear this. Thank you, Frost, for taking the time to discuss this. It's what's important to me is community, right? You guys will hear me say this. I said this yesterday in my stream. I don't need you guys to drop super chats. I would rather you guys gift memberships. And the reason that I would rather do that is because it helps people feel like they're a part of something. And sometimes, and this has happened to me, you guys see me, I'm upbeat and cheery. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. I've had good friends recently in the last year. Many of us have had friends that died. And I didn't realize quite what this community meant to me until John Howe died. Still chokes me up because I was like, here's a guy who I had never met personally, face to face, but had a massive impact in my life. And it's important. I look at YouTube Me. I don't know if YouTube Me is here. But dude, him and I, he's such a great guy and gone through some good things. And I've found some really good friends here. But I didn't realize until John Howe passed away just how much of an impact I'm about to lose it. So bear with me. Um, how much of an impact one of you guys in the streams could actually have in my life. Tiger had that epiphany. We all will have that epiphany sometime during our YouTube stay that there are people who just make us better people. Tiger, you're one of those
Yes.
friends to me. And I love you. I'm going to be a thorn in your side, not because I'm going to try to be bigger or better or stronger than you, but because I want you to be better as a person. I want you to be healthier because the joy that you provide to many people in the streams, the kindness that you show my daughter, the
My niece?
laughs that we, yeah, exactly. Um, the laughs, right? The ability to say, Tiger, stop it. And know that it's meant with grace. We don't, as a people, we don't agree to disagree very much anymore. And Tiger and I both have the same philosophies. We walk in the same general line of things. And so it's fun to have people that are good that way, but true friendship is really something that it's hard to find. When you find that, folks, it's not an accident. You need to nourish it and you need to really work through it. So I want to thank Tiger for taking time out of his day as he recovers from this sepsis issue. Again, folks, he's out of ICU. He's back on the what they call the med surge or the actual hospital floor, being taken care of. But again, if I can do a call to action to each and every one of you, okay, remind him that content comes second to health and that you all would rather hear an update of his improvement than you would to see him drop a video. If there's anybody in here that doesn't believe that, put it in there. If you're like, well, if he doesn't drop content, then I'm going to lose him as a sub. I'm going to tell you, Tiger, you didn't want him as a sub anyway. Because what you want to do is you want to surround people who care about you. Right? And yep.
I understand.
That's Rhonda's like, hey, just get an update from Frosty. We're good. Right? 949. Absolutely. Gremlin, health first. Okay. Family first. Gremlin absolutely knows family comes first, right? Love that woman. Neat people.
So she's the prettiest blue-haired woman I've ever met outside of Smurfette.
He just referred you to Smurfette. That's funny as hell.
No, honestly, I'm real blessed with everyone there. And you got to keep in mind, yes, I do like making content. Yes, I do like teaching. Yes, I do like finding stuff. But also, I also want to get the videos out, not only for all of you, but for my two grandsons that were not allowed to be part of their lives. I'm kind of hoping that they'll find my channel and see that Grandpa really does love them and really does want to leave them clues how to take care of themselves financially.
So on behalf of Tiger, I'm going to gift out 5 memberships. This is going to be done in Tiger's name. And if you look at some of the names on here, Siren, L, Stewart, vote for Pedro, and Matt T. Please, that's a gift from me to me from Tiger, but it's actually from me to me from Tiger. But again, just to say thank you. Again, I appreciate you guys coming into the stream and supporting me, but I also appreciate you even more for coming in and supporting Tiger Stacker, for letting us talk a little bit about some of the nuances of what's going on. Stinky, Smelly, and Lucky just subscribed. Thank you so much. I love that name, by the way. Stinky, Smelly, and Lucky One. That's awesome. Streaka, I just got that email. Thank you. I appreciate you. I will make sure that I get Tiger's P.O. Box to you. But again, folks, thank you for coming in. Check Stacker just gifted 5 memberships. Kevin Rose, Rhonda, Jeff Davis, Rocky Mountain Bear, and Crispy Mofo. Thanks, Check. I appreciate it. Again, folks, this is about community. And so, Tiger, thank you for allowing me to do this. Folks, none of this was scripted. We talked about this. We said we were going to do it. I put something quick together just because I wanted you guys to understand a general idea of what I was going to be talking about. But Tiger and I didn't sit down and say, hey, we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this. I told him, hey, I want to talk about something, but I want to kind of just leave it open. I'm going to give the next 15 minutes time for chat. So if you have questions for Tiger, then I will go ahead and relay those questions Again, if you guys want to drop any kindness or love to Tiger, please do so. I'll be relaying that to him again as he's on his phone. He doesn't have the capability to do that. Just a couple things. There's a couple streams going on today. Make sure you go check out. Coin Crew's going to be doing their stuff. Tons of the gifted memberships. Again, thank you so much, Check Stacker. I appreciate you for dropping. Oh my God, Gremlin just gifted 5 more memberships. Gremlin, thank you so much, my friend. I sincerely appreciate that. Again, all of this, and I say this, you guys should be doing this on Tiger's channel, by the way, instead of mine. But Yoxnav, Wendy, Joyce, Homestead, and Eric Math, congratulations for getting those. Just had another subscriber. Outstanding. Thank you so much for that. You guys, I appreciate you. Thank you for all that you do. But please do me a favor. Let's go show the love over at Tigers. And again, we will be a Tiger, I think, sometime during this week. We'll talk about it. We'll probably go live. I'll go live on your channel. We'll figure out a topic and we'll get you some watch hours. We'll get you some YouTube time. If you're good with that, are you good with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, so let's do this. Oh man, we got another one. Just subscribe. Thank you guys so much. I got five subscribers during this stream. You guys are crushing it. Thank you so much.
It's the new glasses.
Hey, they're blue. They're prisms. They're really cool.
Yeah, they go well with Smurfette.
Oh, I love you, Gremlin. You're too much fun. 949, great idea, Frosty. So yeah, if you guys are interested in doing that, Tiger, you and I will work out the details. Okay. We'll do that. I don't know if we'll do it through StreamYard or Restream yet. We'll figure that out. Tiger, Gremlin just became a member to your channel.
Thank you, Gremlin.
So thank you guys so much. Again, please go drop the love over there. If you're not a subscriber to Tiger Stacker, go check out Tiger Stacker and make sure you subscribe over there. Any questions, any comments? Tiger, could we get a link in chat? Oh yeah, just a second. Why is my, what the hell? That is really weird. Nope. Okay. What in the heck is going on? Oh, there it is. Okay. Sorry about that. Thank you, Great Scott. I appreciate that. I know you can't click on this. I'll be putting this in the chat, or not in the chat, in the details after the stream. So again, you guys can go over and check out Tiger's channel. If you guys are in portrait mode, you probably aren't able to click on those links, and that's fine. We'll make sure that that's taken care of. So I'll be putting those in the links down below, so you'll have access to that.
Thank you.
Rhonda says the boys are going to go over and sub to Tiger and show some love. Outstanding. Thank you so much. Is Steve Looking for Silver still here? I want to say thank you, Steve Looking for Silver. He promoted my daughter's channel last night and got her. She came over and she was like, look, I'm almost at 100. So I want to say thank you for that. There were a lot of people that were promoting that channel last night. So thank you guys for this. I don't want you. Go ahead.
Those of you who haven't gone to see Frostbite's Bifrost channel, you really are missing out. She's very talented. She's a sweetheart. I did a video on actually. I did a video on her artwork, a long form video, and then I did a really cute little short where I was showing you that it doesn't. She's got fake material because it doesn't go through the Sigma metalytics very well, nor the ping test. I think she didn't know how to deal with it as a young person, but it was great. So, go check out her artwork, and her hybrid cartoons are amazing. That's where she takes one cartoon character, another cartoon character, and somehow melts them into a brand new character.
Oh, her mashups are amazing. Matter of fact, If you guys have, we have 20 minutes before Coin Crew goes live. If you want to, I can have her pull up something. Let me see. Matter of fact, I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah, you
Do,
call them
do, do.
mashups. I've been calling them hybrids.
She calls them mashups. Let me see if I can look at. Um, she's also doing some animations, where she's working on some animations. And she's got some of her top drawings. I need to minimize this. I'm going to throw this over here. Um, Let me hold on. I might get in trouble for this. I don't think I'll get a community strike, but let's make this big. All right, so this is something like that she does. So this is some of the stuff. I'll let this play. Um, but yeah, Tiger's been a great support of my daughter, doing stuff. Now this is all stuff that she's drawn, some of the stuff that she likes. Extremely talented. Actually, for those of you who know, Vote for Pedro has commissioned her to do a piece for the Wounded Warriors Project. So she is going to be doing, a really nice piece where, we're going to do it. She's going to do it all colorized, and we're going to print it out. We're going to put it in um, one of the frames, and we're going to submit that over to, um, Wounded Warrior, and have her do some drawings and have her do some stuff. Uh, she does really cool stuff. And so, again, she only needs 15 more to get to 100 if you want to support her in that. Tiger has been great, to do that. But again, yeah, vote for Pedro. Again, he supports young artists, and he's done a lot to really get her to, kind of stand alongside. So, uh, working on some really cool stuff. She's got some real interesting stuff. If you guys like, um, or your kids like anime or something like that, send them her way, because again, this is pretty cool. Elle, I love how proud you are of her. You're a great dad. Um, this is something that is, her and I share, an enjoyment of art. We, as a dad, and I talked to, thanks, Chuck. I appreciate that. Tiger and I have talked about this before. Um, Vote for Pedro is extremely good at this too. There's a number of people in the streams that, have talked about this. Our children are our future, and if you find what they're good at, then you can work on nourishing that. A lot of times kids don't know what they're good at, or they do something. And I was guilty of this with my middle son, um, where he wanted to do stream and do YouTube and play and be silly. And I was like, man, that's annoying. You're making so much noise. You're making so much rattle. And then he quit doing it. And now I look back, and this was, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And I look back and I was like, oh my God, I ruined him. He could have been so good. He could have had such an amazing following on YouTube if I would have just shut up and let him do what I've done. I failed with my son, but because of the information that I learned with preventing him from doing something he loved, I learned, and I'm able to support my daughter better. So I didn't do this just because I'm a great father. I did it because I made a mistake and I learned from it. My daughter's the benefactor. It didn't help my son very much. So in my failure, I was able to learn and then take that and then, nourish her. So again, I want to be very transparent in the fact that, I'm just not a wonderful dad. I was a dad who made some really stupid choices. But it helped me grow for my next kid. So, um, that's how we do with our boys. Yeah, they get excited to do something. We get excited to encourage them. Most of the time they move on, but the experience is forever. Exactly, Kevin. And again, this is one of those things that, I was just going to say that, every parent makes mistakes. Making mistakes as a parent isn't an issue. It's repeating those mistakes and not learning from them. That's the problem. It's not how many times you fall down. It's how many times you get back up. It's not how many times you don't complete a project. It's how many times you do. And so making sure that you stay through and follow the course, that's what matters. Don't be afraid to try something. I was always afraid. I wanted to start a YouTube 2.5, 3, 4 years ago. And I was afraid of looking like an idiot because I just didn't know very much about coins. Um, we only have 213 subs on this channel, and I don't push it, but I want to follow more. Yeah, that's cool. Let me go check it out, and I'll find out some information. Make sure it's good, and then I'll share it out. Okay, Stinky. I always, before I promote anybody, I need to research it, look and see who's there. But yeah, we'll look at it. Okay. If anybody has that link, they can click on it and check out stinky, smelly stuff. So let me see. Let me pull that up real fast. Oh, that is the Tolliver ones. Okay, got it. Got you. Okay, so we'll scribe it up. So that's for Rhonda Tolliver's. Yep. Got you. Okay, cool. Subbed up. Cool beans. I appreciate you. I didn't realize that that's who you were. But again, folks, thank you so much for coming up. I don't want to make this about Bifrost. Thank you guys for doing this. I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew that she was up there. You guys have got her to 91 subs. Are you kidding me already? Holy smoke, she's going to freak out. I could see if she's, let me see if she's there. Maybe I'll have her do something. Oh yeah, you guys only 9 away from 100. Then she can have a community page. We made this channel because, oh, I got you. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, but thank you all. I appreciate you guys for the support for her. But again, go sub up Tiger. That's what's more important to me right now. Yes, I love and support my daughter, but right now it's about this man. So again, thank you all for coming in. Thank you for allowing us to talk for a couple hours about, just being prepared and understanding and having some of those things in place. Thank you for giving a Tiger an opportunity to come and provide updates and insights about what's going on with him, allow you to provide updates. I will work with Tiger, and sometime during the week, I'll try to do it on maybe Thursday. Wednesday, I don't think I think we have dinner plans with a friend on Wednesday, so it'll probably be Thursday. Tiger and I will work it out. We'll drop it. I'll have him put the information in. He can set everything up and we'll run it. And then we'll run it from his stream. He'll set it up and then we'll just run it. That way he can, if he needs to take a break or whatever, but we'll build something. We'll stream live. But I'll basically run one for him to make sure that we're giving him some content. All right, folks. I love you all. I appreciate you. Tiger, you have any last words before we take off, brother?
No, just appreciate everyone being here and all the support and the love and the healing and all that. And I just can't wait to be me again.
Well, you're always you. But again, remember, health is more important than content. Take care of yourself, and we'll continue to provide updates. All right, folks.
Okay.
Love you. Appreciate you. Take care. Be well, be blessed. And I will see you in the streams. Take care.
Me
See you,
too.
folks.